If you are listening to this podcast, it means you're searching for someone who understands you, someone who gets you. You are yearning to be understood and to belong. Welcome to the Someone Gets Me podcast, where we help smart, talented, and sensitive people navigate an often insensitive world. I am Dianne A Allen, your host. My roles as ambassador, author, speaker, and intuitive mentor for bright and talented people are woven into each episode. I have the experience and knowledge to educate and inspire, as I have been there and I understand your unique intensities, sensitivities, and challenges. Welcome. Live in the present. Hi friends, it's Dianne to talk to you today and share with you some of my ideas and some reminders for you about the power of living in the present moment. For this is the day, today, right now, as you're listening to my voice, that is this gift that is amazing. And when we spend too much of our mental energy on the past, regretting the past, wishing the past was different, or pining over great memories from the past, wishing they were coming back again or something. All of these things where we put our energy toward the past robs us of today. That is not where we want to go. Same thing when people get too far into the future. You know, being an entrepreneur myself, it's every day. Have a vision. Go after your vision. Make sure you have your goals. Future, content, comments, invitations, a barrage of social media information about the future. And if you go to the future and you stay there, you lose today. That doesn't mean you don't set goals. It doesn't mean you don't have a vision. It's quite the opposite. You have a vision, you have goals, and then you come back to the present moment and do the next right thing in order to stay focused toward what it is you say you want. I have a phrase all the time where I say this or something better. Because what I've learned over time is that I might have a really great idea and a really great vision, but as the time unfolds and I grow and evolve and the world changes, often what ends up happening is better than what I could imagine to start with. So I think it's very important that we understand that being in the moment is what's most important. And I'm talking to you about this today for lots of reasons. One is I'm being reminded of it in my own life. And also because a lot of you know that I have a new puppy and she's 13 weeks old and she is totally in the present. And she wants me to be in the present with her. And so over the last few days, I have noticed how many times that I have been with her, but not totally present, like physically present, but mentally somewhere else. Like we were going on a walk not that long ago, and she was just sniffing and playing and doing what puppies do. And it had just rained not long before. So there were all these great smells. And I checked in with my own brain. And instead of being in the moment, breathing with her and appreciating her, my brain was on the future and what I had to do the next day and what I had, who I had to call and what things were happening. And it was a potential time that I could have lost that connection with her and it would be gone forever. I see people do it with their children. I was listening to a podcast one time by somebody that I really like, and he was telling a story about how his sons, when they were young, would go, "Dad, Dad, Dad." And he finally asked him, "Why do you say dad 3 times?" And they said, "Because it takes that long for you to answer us." Because he was thinking about his business. He was working on his vision and his goals, and he lost track of the fact that we can get lost in our mind and lost in what's happening inside, and we can lose our connection to the present moment right in that moment, in that time, with the people we love, with our pets, with our own world. So I'm bringing this back up to remind us all to come back to the present moment, to look at your past, if it starts showing up in your present moment, and release whatever it was. Release wounds, trauma, upset, disappointment, grief, regret, and also release that addiction that we often have to holding on to the good stuff from the past and trying to carry it into the future and comparing the future to it, and it messes up today. So we really want to pay attention to that, and we don't want to frustrate ourselves anymore. And what we also want to do is, when it gets too far into the future, to start saying, well, okay, I've got my goals and my vision, but what am I doing right here, right now, today? Am I breathing? Am I paying attention to how my little toe feels right now? Or what my experience is? And so that is very, very, very important. So in order to do this and be successful and satisfied, it's important that we have a lot of gratitude for what we do have in the moment. You know, like I bought a house a couple of years ago, and I've been wanting to redo the floors. Well, that's great, but I haven't had a clear vision of what kind of flooring, you know, and exactly the color scheme I want to have, and all of these different decisions. And so it's real easy to get lost into the future and wanting it to be a certain way, and how is it going to work, and all of those things, and moving furniture and taking care of the dog. Instead, say, all right, let's let the vision happen, and know that at the right time and space, the decision will be made, the flooring will be replaced, and everything will be just fine. Being grateful for what we have in the moment and moving forward with a vision, knowing that it can change. Charles Fillmore used to say all the time, he's a co-founder of Unity, and he used to always say, always reserve the right to change your mind. And for me, that was very powerful, because I know that in my work with the gifted creative people, and in my own personal gifted creative life, there are times where I will see a vision or think something's going to happen in a certain way, and I can really stress myself out trying to create the outcome. Where instead, if I say, well, this or something better, and it's okay if I change my mind, that flexibility allows the creative genius in us and the intuitive part of us to feel and see and experience the current moment as we create whatever it is we're desiring. It's a much different way than setting a goal and being addicted to the goal and trying to orchestrate and control everything to happen to that goal, because what you get is frustration and irritation and sometimes anger and things like that. It doesn't feel good. So instead, we say, okay, well, I want to have different floors in my house. Well, what kind of floor, and how will that work, and what will you do, and all these other things, and give myself permission to change my mind and be creative about it, knowing that the timing will unfold perfectly. Rather than saying, I better have it all decided by next week and it has to be done by XYZ day. Well, no, not necessarily. We can give ourselves permission to be more in the flow of things and allow ourselves the opportunity to be in the moment while each day taking action toward our goal. We want to focus on what we desire, releasing the old, because you're not the same version of you today that you were, and allow yourself to be flexible with how you attain where you're going. So when you're distracted in your mind today about something, then you're losing the precious connection to today. And you hear me say a lot, connection is the correction. Connection is the correction to healing old grief and pain and anger and wounds. But connection is also the correction from losing track of the days. You know, like, where did the day go? Where did the year go? We're a little bit over halfway through 2023 as I record this. Can you count for most of your days? Is it a blur? Have you been paying attention? Are you so distracted by the past or the future, or a combination, that you've missed some of the precious golden opportunities to be connected to friends and family and nature and your pets? That's what's important, is the connection. When we're physically present and we're not engaged and not connected in that way, and we're somewhere else essentially, then we completely what do we do? We derail our lives, we cheapen them, and then we end up having lots of regret. And that's not the goal. The goal is to be present, to be connected, and knowing that if we are connected in the moment and we're engaged in our world, then future guilt and wounds and grief and old, hurts won't be haunting us because we'll be present in the moment today. So the best way to rectify that obsession with the past or obsession with the future is to come back to being a human being right here, right now. Offer yourself and people around you some mercy and some compassion, and allow yourself to be connected to who you are, all of you, each moment of the day. The easiest way out of the disconnection is to take a few deep breaths and say, all right, what's going on right here and right now? And so my little puppy has reminded me of this a lot lately, of just being in the moment. When she crawls up on my lap and just starts licking my face, I come right back into my body in that moment, no matter where my brain was. Sometimes it was already on her and it was already on the moment, but sometimes it was on, what's going to happen or what I need to do or what happened in the past. And anytime that I catch myself doing that, I remind myself that that's not the most wise use of my time and effort and attention. And so as a creative person that you are, as a gifted person that you are, as a sensitive person that you are, being connected to yourself in the moment matters. Now, one really cool way to do it, I find, is to use laughter and humor and play. Like, to have a good time. I teach some of my clients to play games in their head sometimes, right? Just give yourself permission to play or laugh. There are some times where I'll just listen to some funny videos or watch something funny or just play with my dog or just crack myself up in my head. That laughter elevates the energy and allows you to be connected more deeply. The more connected you are, the better things work for you. We can't stay in yesterday or tomorrow and still enjoy today. So that's the key. If you want to enjoy today and you don't want to lose today, you don't want to get stuck in yesterday or tomorrow. You want to stay in today. So yes, you go forward, make your goals, see your vision, and come back in today. Yes, if something from the history annoys you, bothers you, follows you, or whatever it is, see it for what it is, rectify whatever needs to be rectified, honor what needs to be honored, don't ignore it, and then lovingly bring yourself back into this moment. Now, it takes being emotionally and mentally mature to enjoy where you are while you maybe are discouraged or frustrated or having a hard time. So the goal in all of this is to gain more and more emotional and mental maturity, to become more wise by being able to hold both things at the same time, hold our connection, be fully involved in our world, and experience maybe emotions we may or may not want to have. So can you do that? Are you okay with having maybe a frustration in a day, but still being in the moment and being in the frustration? And knowing that it's not the end of the world, and knowing that that frustration is telling you something important, because that is the hallmark of a mature, wise person. And in my world, that's the goal, right? And so we do this by having some faith and trust in the world and faith and trust in ourselves, that if we're in the moment and we're doing the best we can and we're paying attention, even when we're really frustrated, even when we're discouraged, even when the answers we're seeking seem to elude us and we don't really know what's going on or how to get to them. Even in those moments, can you stay connected to that emotion and feeling and then not let that frustration or discouragement or upset or whatever it is derail you? Can you do that? Some days we're all really good at it. Some days we're not so good at it. It's okay. There's no right or wrong. It's about increased awareness. It's about increased focus on clearing out the old stuff, the rust within us, so that we can live fully in the moment, allowing a free flow of our energy so we can stay connected in the moment, which then makes our past more beautiful and our future much more amazing. So we don't want to let the past keep us from seeing the good in our life today. You know, I have some people that look back on the past and they pine for it because in their mind, it was a better time, or they made more money, or they were more successful, or they were happier in some way. And they spend a lot of time comparing then until now, and they're losing the precious beauty of today. I also know people who do the other thing with the past, where it was so terrible that they hold that terrible, their definition of terrible, and they bring it into today, and then they wonder why today is terrible. Well, we have a choice. We have a choice of what we give control and power in our world. So our maturity and our wisdom as we grow and change and rectify and heal things comes from being willing to say, I can have whatever feeling I'm having and I can still be connected in the moment. And we are not our feelings. You are not what feeling you're having. If you're angry, you are not only angry, you're everything at once. And so you can be frustrated and angry and still feel joy and love. You can be hopeful and still be discouraged, all at the same time. And so I'm reminded of a phrase I've learned a long time ago that I want to kind of close with for you to think about. And the phrase is this: all things work together for the good. Now, it's not saying that all things are good. It says all things work together for the good. So sometimes the things that we have to live through that maybe are really hard or devastating or painful work together with other things that maybe might even seem nondescript in our lives for the greater good of our life. That if we remember and that we can have faith and hope and trust in the fact that all things do work together for the good, even when we cannot see how it's going to work, even when our limited human ego or brain can't see the answer, we can trust that as time unfolds and opportunity unfolds, we will see that all things work together for the good. And that does not mean all things are good in the sense of happy and desirable. It means that they work together for it. And you think about it, some of the greatest pains many people have gone through has been the beginning, has been the birth of some amazing talent, nonprofit organizations, businesses, relationships that had they not endured that really horrific pain, they wouldn't be positioned to do the good thing that's coming. So they work together for the good. So that's your mantra. All things work together for the good. The goal is to be emotionally mature and intellectually mature by realizing you can have more than one experience at the same time and still live through it, right? So the question is, are you embracing today, or are you disconnecting from today and hanging out in the future or the past or some combination, thereby squandering the beauty of the present moment? There's nothing like a little puppy to get you to come right back to this moment. There is nothing like laughter and play to bring us to the moment. So give yourself permission to practice being in the moment, checking in with yourself. Are you mentally distracted or mentally too far in the future or heading back to the past and missing part of today? Remember, all things work together for the good. I hope this episode has been able to remind you to come back to the moment, come back to the present, honor the ongoing human experience of coming back home to ourselves in a world that's often insensitive and chaotic and bombarding us with all kinds of things. So take a few deep breaths. Know that you are beautiful, you are lovable, you are capable, and you are fully equipped. So that, my friends, concludes today's episode of Live with the Present. So remember to keep your face to the sun so the shadows fall behind you, because you are a rock star. You are here on purpose with a mighty purpose. So go out there Live in the moment. Feel all of who you are. Stand in your sovereignty and allow yourself to be the radiant being that you're meant to be. Until the next episode, be well. Are you tired of searching for someone to understand you? Join our Facebook group, Someone Gets Me. In this group, you will be able to connect with others who are intense, sensitive, smart, and talented. I share my insights and teachings, and you can connect with others in a real, authentic, safe forum. So join us today. Someone Gets Me.